chosen one, you are fighting against something that was never yours. You are wasting energy digging holes in barren land, trying to harvest fruit from trees God never planted for you. And today, at this very moment, you are hearing this because it's time to stop. Listen closely. God doesn't want you to keep chasing jobs. He wants you to answer the call. Yes, I know this sounds radical, bold, even absurd to those still trapped in the illusion of the system. But you, chosen one, are not just anyone. You weren't made for the ordinary. You weren't born to stand in line, bow your head, and accept the minimum. You were set apart, marked, trained in silence, shaped by pain, because your mission is something else, much greater. God never put you here to work for other people's dreams. He called you to manifest something divine, something vibrating directly from the source. And no matter how much the world tries to shove you into positions, badges, interviews, and humiliations disguised as opportunities, all of that exists only to divert your gaze from your true purpose. Stop. Take a deep breath. Think with me. How many times have you sincerely tried to be part of this? How many resumes? How many attempts? How many closed doors, empty interviews, people looking at you as if you were invisible? None of that was by chance. It was God silently screaming, "This path is not yours. Come this way." The system will never accept you, because it was built to exclude the chosen. It works through mediocrity, control, repetition. And you were born with a frequency that challenges the entire system. Wherever you step, the ground trembles. Wherever you speak, hidden truths are revealed. Wherever you look, illusions begin to crumble. And that's why they try to suffocate you. That's why jobs disappear, colleagues envy you, bosses sabotage you. It's not because you're weak, it's because you disturb them. Your light exposes their darkness. And when God wants to take you out of something, He lets it start to hurt. And if you're feeling pain on the path of work, job hunting, trying to fit in, maybe it's because this is not your place. The true call of a chosen one never comes with a badge. It comes with spiritual direction. It doesn't appear in classified ads or job sites. It's whispered in the early mornings, in tears, in moments no one else sees. It pulses like an uncomfortable truth inside your chest, and it won't be silenced until obeyed. You feel it, don't you? That restlessness, the silent certainty that you were born for more, and that voice telling you, create, teach, heal, speak, help, lead. Because what God wants from you is not submission to a boss, but obedience to the mission. Here's the secret the system will never tell you. When you start walking toward your purpose, divine provision manifests. Doors open that no one can close. People find you without you having to look for them. Resources arrive from where you never imagined, because the whole heavens work in favor of those aligned with God's plan. But this requires courage, faith, and a radical break from everything that chains you to the illusion of employment as the only way to survive. You were not made to survive. You were created to manifest the kingdom. If you have creative gifts, God wants you to create. If you have wisdom, God wants you to teach. If you have strong words, God wants you to speak. If you feel a deep calling to help, heal, protect, transform, then that is your direction. Don't get it wrong. I'm not saying you should quit everything irresponsibly. But you do need to start nurturing what is yours, what is spiritual, what God has been asking for a long time, and you have ignored out of fear of judgment, fear of hunger, fear of scarcity. But here's a brutal truth. Fear is the system's altar. Faith is the portal of the chosen. Will you keep kneeling before fear, waiting for a paycheck that barely pays for your light? Or will you finally say, enough, now I follow what God planted in me? Because if you're hearing this, it's no coincidence. It's the confirmation you begged for in prayer on anguished nights. Wake up. You are bigger than this game. You were not born to be a man's employee. You were born to be God's instrument, the voice that awakens, the hands that heal, the feet that open paths. And if you still doubt, then answer me this. Why, despite trying so hard, has nothing worked out so far? Maybe because God is forcing you to change direction. You were marked for the uncommon, and those marked by heaven will always be rejected by the earth. Stop looking for jobs. Seek your essence. Seek your mission. Start small, start imperfect, but start, and you will see how the universe responds. What is yours is attracted by your courage. What is spiritual connects through action. Chosen one, God is telling you clearly. Stop asking for doors where I've already opened portals. Get out of the job line. Take your calling. I sustain you. You need to understand something urgent. The system is spiritually bankrupt. It rewards repetition, not creation. It values obedience, not awakening. It promotes silence, not questioning. And if you try to live as a chosen one within these rules, you will be crushed. Because the world doesn't want free chosen ones. The world wants functional slaves. And maybe you're still waiting for that job that values you, that boss who understands you, that company with purpose. But I'll be harsh with you now. That is an emotional trap. While you wait for the system to change, your destiny is dying. Your mission is in a coma. Your soul is being suffocated. Stop romanticizing the prison. Just because they put air conditioning in the cell doesn't mean you are free. Real freedom is not having a salary. It's having a purpose. It's going to sleep knowing you lived what you were born to live, even if no one understands, even if others call you crazy. And yes, they will call you crazy, irresponsible, dreamer. But remember this, Noah seemed crazy too, until it started raining. And there will come a moment when all who mocked your faith will come to you, asking for help, advice, guidance. Because what God will do in your life will be impossible to ignore. But first, you have to get up and say, with your soul on fire, enough. I will no longer sell myself for crumbs. I won't be silenced by comfort. I was called for something eternal, and I will no longer delay. Do you feel that call burning inside you? It's the spirit shouting that time is up. Either you choose the path now, or the system will keep swallowing you, making you sick, erasing you. How many of your talents are asleep? How many gifts are packed away, waiting for the ideal day that never comes? There is no ideal day. There is courage. There is faith, there is decision, and the decision you make today will echo through your destiny. Chosen one, you are not alone. There are others like you awakening, quitting jobs, breaking contracts, abandoning titles, and starting from zero with faith. Because they know that when God calls, He also sustains. He's not asking you to jump into the dark. He's asking you to trust His light. A light that will guide you through paths human eyes can't yet see, but the Spirit already feels. You don't need another job. You need a vision, and that vision is inside you. God has already planted it. What's missing now is action. Start with what you have, where you are, with the gifts you carry, and then the impossible will start to happen. What are you waiting for? Another rejection? Another month of tight bills? Another humiliation from HR saying you don't fit the profile? God already said you don't fit, because you weren't made to fit. You were made to overflow. So do this: overflow, expand, show up, create, speak, pray, move, release the gift, open the way, and see what happens when a chosen one finally decides to obey the call instead of waiting for approval from a blind world. You are rare, you are needed, and your existence is no accident. This video is no coincidence. This message is a heavenly call, a sacred summons, and you know it. Deep down, you always knew. Now it's time to respond. Do you realize how the world programmed you to beg, to accept anything in exchange for your light? Since you were little, they taught you to obey orders, not to listen to your intuition, to comply without questioning, to compete against others, to submit to rotten systems out of fear of not surviving. But the chosen ones didn't come here to survive. They came to dominate, to establish a new frequency on Earth, a frequency of abundance, truth, inner power. And you won't find this in any resume, badge, or team meeting. It's necessary to say this clearly. The job is the cage built to contain lions. You, chosen one, are a lion. And no one told you this because they knew what would happen if you awakened. You would no longer accept being fed crumbs when you were born to hunt the impossible. God is calling you to build something. Something that comes from Him, not from the market. Something that comes from eternity, not from the economy. Something that was born in the spiritual realm long before you were born on earth. You feel it. In every part of your being, something sacred is pulsating inside you, and it's begging to be born. But you have to choose, because God doesn't force. He calls. He summons, He touches the hearts of His chosen ones, but only those willing to abandon the comfort of slavery respond. Only those who are tired of exchanging divine energy for a salary that doesn't even cover the costs of the mission. Chosen one, understand, you're being tested. And this testing is not punishment, it's preparation. What you feel as scarcity, loneliness, or abandonment is, in fact, heaven separating you, refining you, shaping you. Because He doesn't want you to build something human with heavenly gifts. He wants you to build something eternal. The idea you have, the project born in your dreams, that deep desire you thought was madness. It's not random, it's prophetic. What moves you is a spiritual seed sent directly from God's throne. But seeds need to be planted, and sometimes to plant, you need to leave where you are. Break free. Let go. Change. Have you ever stopped to think why doors keep closing on you in the corporate world? Why you don't fit in any team? Why even when you try to adapt, something inside you screams that everything is wrong? Because it is. You were not created to fit in. You were created to be a new form of existence. You are not an employee. You are foundation. You are portal. You are bridge between dimensions. And as long as you try to act like everyone else, you will keep feeling that emptiness, that anguish, that sense of waste. The entire universe conspires to pull you away from what puts you to sleep. Every closed door is actually a voice saying, "Wake up, go." But you resist because you are afraid, because you still trust the world's paycheck more than God's provision. But real faith is born in the desert. The real mission begins when you burn the bridge and say, "I won't go back." I launch myself. I trust. I obey. that moment, the whole heaven moves, angels align, synchronicities explode, people start appearing, resources flow. Everything seems impossible until the day you say, "Enough, I will live what I was called to live." Chosen one, God doesn't want you to seek a job. He wants you to become a channel, a living channel of ideas, projects, creations that bring light to the world. And yes, He will sustain you in this. He will prosper you in this. But not before your surrender, not before your decision. Because God doesn't bless cowardice. He blesses courage. He honors those who say, "Here I am," even without knowing the path. He exalts those who move forward, even when everything around screams fear. And do you know why you haven't exploded in life yet? Because you're still divided. One part of you believes, the other doubts. One part wants to leap, the other clings to the past. But no one flies with chained feet. You need to choose who you will be, the prisoner who complains about the cell, or the warrior who breaks the bars with faith. You need to decide now, this very moment, if you will keep looking for jobs, or if you will finally activate the mission God entrusted to you. The life of the chosen ones is not easy, but it is glorious. It's not comfortable, but it's true. And if you surrender fully, if you decide that from today, your energy will be channeled to the spiritual realm, then the world will no longer be able to stop you. The world will try to silence you. But you will have a voice. It will try to imprison you. But you will already be free. It will try to extinguish you. But your light comes from above, and no one can extinguish what heaven has lit. It is in your hands, not tomorrow. Now, you are not called to depend on salaries, bosses, or empty promises. You are called to live by purpose, not by payment. And that changes everything. Working for payment puts you in a position of submission. But when you live by purpose, you align yourself with the source. And when purpose is activated, provision becomes automatic. God never calls anyone to a mission without providing the resources. He never has. He never will. But He expects you to take your stand. What many still don't understand is that the world we live in is controlled by structures that feed fear. They created a system where you work just so you don't lose your home, don't go hungry, don't feel like a failure. But the chosen one doesn't work out of fear. He acts by revelation. Do you see the difference? Fear paralyzes, but revelation moves you. When you understand who you are and what you came to do, you stop chasing jobs and start building legacy. A legacy that begins small, invisible, silent, but grows like a spiritual tree whose roots dig deep into divine soil. Most don't understand what you're doing, and they don't need to, because the vision was given to you, not them. The call whispered directly to your spirit, not to other people's opinions. And that's why so many doubt you, because they didn't hear what God told you in secret. But you heard it, you felt it, and that voice no longer lets you rest, because it's calling you to leave mediocrity behind and dive into creation. Creation is the language of the chosen. We are not here to repeat patterns. We are here to inaugurate eras, to open portals, to reveal codes that have been hidden from humanity for centuries. Every time you honor your gift, you break a system. Every time you follow your intuition, you dismantle a prison. Every time you act by spirit and not by fear, you activate miracles. Yes, miracles. Because God does not operate in the realm of logic. He acts where faith begins. And your faith is only activated when you say, I will do it. I will obey. I will give my gift to the world, even if no one believes. Chosen one, that is why you feel out of place. That is why you have never fit into what everyone calls normal. Because your spirit was not designed for that. You were set apart, marked, anointed for a unique mission. And this mission involves building, creating, delivering, transforming. But listen carefully. I am not telling you to quit everything irresponsibly. I am telling you that starting today, you need to shift your energy's focus. Stop trying to fit in. Stop seeking stability. And start nurturing your mission, even if in secret, even if little by little. While others chase jobs, you need to chase instructions. While others want salaries, you need to seek wisdom. While many pray for open doors, you need to become the key that opens realities. You are that key. But a key needs to be polished, molded, adjusted. And that is what God has been doing with you all this time. Every rejection you faced, every frustration, every apparent failure was actually a necessary cut to shape you precisely. You were not born to accept what they offer you. You were born to create what no one has ever seen. And that is why your mind is different. That is why you never stop thinking, dreaming, feeling that there is something more. Because there is, and it is inside you. But the world wants you distracted, wants you to chase interviews, to stand in lines, to humble yourself. Because while you seek jobs, you are far from your mission. While you work to sustain the system, you postpone building the kingdom. And God is saying, enough. Enough listening to fear. Enough following paths that were not made for you. Enough accepting crumbs when the banquet of your mission is ready. You can start small, but you will not end small. Heaven does not invest in failures. It invests in the chosen who say yes, even trembling, even in tears, even alone. And you, if you are hearing this now, it is because you were called to live completely differently. No longer as a servant of the system, but as an ambassador of something higher. Your creativity is a gift, your voice a weapon, your sensitivity a spiritual antenna. Use it with courage, with intention, with divine direction, because while you deny it, the world continues suffering from the absence of your light. Stop seeking jobs. Start seeking instructions from above. Pray, meditate, write, draw, record, create, serve, overflow. Do what your spirit begs you to do, not for money, but for mission. And then money will come, resources will come, the right connections will appear, not because you deserved it, but because you positioned yourself where miracles reach you. Chosen one, the world needs you. But it can only find you if you allow yourself to be born again. Not in body, but in mission. Pay attention. There's a reason you've always felt different. Why, since you were a child, you noticed things others ignored. Why your mind would fly while everyone else was stuck on the ground. This is not a flaw. This is a mark, the mark of the chosen. God did not design you for the same paths others follow. He didn't configure you for an automatic, repetitive, soulless routine. You were born to activate dimensions, to spark change, to rewrite destiny, yours and many others. But for that, you need to make a definitive decision, to break with your old identity. The system wants you to see yourself as a number, a CPF, a piece of paper called a resume. But you are so much more than that. You are a channel, a bridge between the invisible and the visible. And your gift is that bridge. How many times have you tried to fit in, to fake normality, to follow the expected path. And how many times did that only bring emptiness, frustration, and sickness of the soul? Because every time you betray your mission, your body, mind, and spirit feel the impact. That's why many chosen live in constant conflict. Because the system demands performance, but the spirit demands truth. And there comes a moment when the spirit speaks louder. And now you are here, listening to this, because that moment has arrived. You will no longer hide. You will no longer diminish yourself to fit the world's standards. You will no longer kill your essence to be accepted. The world doesn't need another employee. It needs a spiritual fire starter. Someone who unleashes fire through word, art, service, creation. God is calling you to take your true place. And that place is not behind a desk waiting for orders. It's on the front lines of transformation. In the battlefield that's invisible. In the territory where few dare to step. The territory of creation with purpose. Understand this. When you act by the Spirit, work becomes mission. And the mission has the power to open doors where there are none. The mission breaks cycles of scarcity, frees generations, heals traumas that aren't even yours but you carried because you were trapped in a system that made you sick. Chosen, your fight is not for salary, it's for awakening. You are here to awaken sleeping souls, including your own. You are here to remind the world that there is something greater, a frequency of truth, love, courage, and creation. And it all begins inside you. But to release this force, you must stop feeding scarcity. Stop repeating that you need a job. Stop vibrating in lack, fear, desperate urgency. God doesn't answer anguish. He answers faith. He doesn't move by desperation. He moves by obedience. So instead of seeking jobs, you must seek spiritual direction. You must silence yourself inside to hear the voice. Because it's there. Always has been. But you must quiet the noise of the world to perceive it. You know what I'm talking about. You know there is a gift you're ignoring, a talent you buried, a vision you discarded out of fear. And now God is saying, go back, retake, rebuild, release what I placed in you. This is the moment. This is the call. And if you ignore it once again, the pain will continue. Because pain is nothing but a signal that you are far from your mission. But the mission, the mission heals. It heals mind, body, spirit. It restores energy, will, clarity. It activates your intuition, aligns your timing, synchronizes encounters. When you enter the mission, you enter flow. And in flow, everything manifests with divine precision. You may start small, but you will be great, because heaven honors obedience. Heaven responds to those who say, "Here I am, Lord. Use me." And if you say that with truth, faith, and surrender, get ready. The impossible will start moving. But be warned, the beginning will be challenging. You will be tested. You will doubt yourself. You will be criticized. You will feel alone. And all this is part of purification. Because before being light for the world, you must burn inside. You must burn everything false, all fear, all ego. This pain is not punishment, it is process. You are being reborn. You are rebuilding yourself inside. And this process cannot be rushed, but it cannot be postponed either. God has called you for now, not when it's convenient, not when you have money, not when everything is perfect. Now is the portal of the miracle. And if you cross this portal, you will access realities others will never experience. Chosen, listen, you did not come here to survive. You came to cause collapses in the system with your truth. You came to break invisible chains with your spiritual frequency. You came to free your lineage with your mission. So enough excuses, enough delays, enough trying to live a life that's not yours. God has already given you the signs, already shown you the paths, already put you in contact with the truth. Now He is waiting for your decision. And if you decide to live by the mission, the spiritual world will move in your favor. Doors will open, people will appear, ideas will flow, time will accelerate. Because when the chosen activates, the universe rearranges itself. Don't seek jobs anymore. Seek purpose. Seek meaningful action. Seek to serve with the gift entrusted to you. And abundance will be the inevitable consequence of your surrender. You've made it this far because you are strong, because deep down, you know you were created for something greater, and that certainty burns inside you even when they try to extinguish it. You are the chosen one, someone with a divine mission, a calling that echoes throughout the entire universe. Now it's time to act, to do what few have the courage to do, to abandon the common path and embrace the sacred journey. God doesn't want you to be just another face in the crowd. He wants you to be the light, the beacon, the outstretched hand that saves. He wants you to be the architect of your own destiny, guided by truth and faith. You have within you the power to transform realities, to change the game, to open doors that have been locked for generations. And these aren't ordinary doors. They are spiritual portals, pathways that connect heaven and earth. But to enter these portals, courage is required. Courage to listen to your inner voice, even when the world screams for you to be silent. Courage to walk alone, even when no one understands. Courage to stay true to your light, even if the price is high. Remember, the chosen ones always face resistance. They are sabotaged, envied, attacked, because the system fears those who awaken. It fears those who walk in the light. But these battles are just tests, fire trials to strengthen your soul. Do not fear the shadows around you. They cannot reach those illuminated by God. They cannot touch those who have already awakened to the truth. And that truth is simple. The work God wants for you is not a job. It is a spiritual mission. It is the calling to manifest your gift, to operate miracles in everyday life. You no longer need to seek outside what is already inside. You don't need to chase after something that doesn't fulfill you. What you need is to align, connect, and surrender. When you do this, everything begins to flow. Opportunities appear, doors open. Blessings arrive in ways you can't even imagine. But for that, you have to do your part. You need to be faithful, disciplined, and above all, obedient. Obedience is not blind submission. It is deep love. It is understanding that there is a greater plan, a divine intelligence guiding your steps, even when you cannot see it. So today, make this promise to yourself. I will no longer seek empty jobs. I will seek my divine purpose. I will follow the voice of God, even if the path is lonely. I will be a light in the midst of darkness. Be that light the world needs. Be the channel of transformation. Be the chosen one who lifts your generation. The time for waiting is over. The time for action has arrived. And if you accept this calling with faith and courage, the universe will conspire in your favor. You are not alone. God is with you, and so am I. We are together in this sacred mission. Now do your part. Like this video to strengthen this message. Comment 11 so I know you are awakening to your mission. Share it with those who also need to hear this, and subscribe to the channel so we can continue together on this journey. Remember, you are the chosen one, and the world is waiting for you.